Good morning. You're watching Morning at NTV. Just this morning, Mala and I were discussing how when you're raising your child, actually, Andrew Chamagiro started this and said this, I found a parent telling their child, how could you, you're a disappointment to me. How could you perform like this in school? And say, that scares me, because why would you talk to your child that way? They hear everything and they register everything and you don't know what it will do to them. And Mala, being the emotional one she is, it's not good to talk to your children that way. And I'm of the view, if you are militaristic to your children, they grew up very well. But when your child is, I think it's called 0, 2 onwards, I mean, what years are very critical that you need to speak a certain way to your child, teach them certain things for their brain to be stimulated. Some of you believe a child starts understanding at 10 years old, and by then you're very late. So to have this conversation around child brain stimulation, I have Manuela Mulondo. I feel like your family here. Are you?
I do. I feel like it too.
Yes.
I feel
Good
like
morning.
It too. Good morning. Good to see you.
So you're the founder of the Cradle Uganda.
Yes, I am.
And I was just telling you, Fair, that for a long time I thought it was just a program versus an actual center. Let's just, for everybody, let's just recap. What is the Cradle Uganda?
The Cradle Uganda is Uganda's first child care center designed for the workplace.
Oh.
And what we do ideally is set up child care centers and lactation spaces at workplaces. And we do it through, it's a three-pronged approach. So we can set up a child care center at the organization, near the organization, such that a various number of organizations can access the child care center and lactation center. And then the third one is the residential. So that's around home areas. So our first residential center is actually the one in Tinda.
Okay.
So a company can subscribe to our service, and then their employees can access the service either on-site, near-site, or off-site in residential areas.
Okay, so let me get this. It's sort of like saying the company pays a certain fee to you.
Yes.
And if I'm working near that center at, say, lunchtime,
yes.
So do I leave my child with you?
With us, yes.
Okay, and then come to you?
Yes, so we're open 24 hours. And if you have a child between newborn and 4 years old, you can leave the child at any of the centers. And then what that means is you can come in maybe every 2 hours to breastfeed your child or to express your milk, and then be able to see your child. But you have up to 24 hours to be able to access your child at any time. So if you have to work at night, you're a doctor, you work in customer care or customer care services, let's say MTN or
there's somewhere
somewhere where you have to work at night, you actually have a place where you can live your child. Yes.
So you said lactation centers.
Let's
try. I mean, I sort of understand that, lactation, breast milk. So I put the two and two together. Does that mean
exactly that?
Even if I have my child at home, I can still come and express from your center?
Well,
how does that work?
That's an interesting phenomenon. It's very interesting. But if we were at your workplace, at the corporate organization, yes, obviously. But I don't see you coming all the way from town to a residential area to express milk. So ideally what that means is you would just ask your employer to have us open up a lactation center. Now, employers are opening up lactation centers and they just put up like a room with a table and a chair, and now you express milk from there. But there's actually ways you can help a mother breastfeed better because she doesn't have her child with her. So if you just build if you just have space for a lactation room, you need to have an environment that allows for more milk to be produced. So it's not just about putting a chair and a fridge for you. And that's it. But then also we provide transportation services. So if you've been able to lactate, you can actually have your child take the milk immediately. So we'd pick up the milk and take it to the child. So
I mean, it sounds like I have so many questions in my mind. I'm asking, so do you bring a fridge? Do you build something? But before we get there, someone is probably looking at this and saying, but Manuela, is this for her just a business? Is there a background to the story? Because how do you get into such a business? It's very, it's very personal.
Yes, it is very personal. I worked in a bank before. And where this started was after I had my first child. And it was one of the best experiences I had having a child. And I was working my way up the corporate ladder. I'd been brand manager, brand officer. I'd moved on to brand manager. And now I'd gotten pregnant. I'd had my child. But then research in Uganda shows that women with a child under the age of 5 in their homes lose up to 47% and 74% of their productivity based on whether they're in a career or they are an entrepreneur, as long as they have a child. So if we're losing that much of our productivity, then what's happening to an employer?
Where's the productivity going to? Is it the
it's
time?
Going to the time you take with the child. So a child is sick, you're thinking about a child, your mind space
is not here.
Is not necessarily at the workplace. Or you're always at a place where you have to choose between the two. And I found myself at a constant having to choose between my child and my career all the time. And so when I wanted to find a place where my child could be, house girls was not it wasn't an option because of, you know, child violence, child trafficking, all of that stuff. And I wanted to be with someone who could help me raise my child. I didn't want someone to take care of my child.
Nice.
Wash babe. No. We've got to move on from there, because where our children are going, they can't be raised the way we were raised. Where the world is going, we need a place where someone can help us raise that child while we're away. And so I went to daycare centers, and I found that they were, you know, joined with kindergartens. Yeah, they're joined with kindergartens, but that means that's not their focus. Childcare is not their focus, and yet the first 1,000 days of a child's life are the most important of a child's life. So I'm like, no, their focus is going to be on the kindergarten and not on the childcare. And then even then, when I went into the daycare center, they were just like you said, bathe the child, feed the child, sleep. Bathe the child, feed the child, sleep. No one was investing emotionally, socially, cognitively, character-wise with my child. And so that's how the cradle started. And in terms of breastfeeding, many times I had to hand express my milk into a sink. And that was it's a very difficult experience for many mothers, and that's the thing that employers don't realize, that a mother is going to come into a meeting, but she's just expressed milk into a sink. She's battered, she's sad, she's sick, but she's got to make this presentation.
Things have got to work.
Things have got to work. And yet the truth is, both can happen. She can actually express and breastfeed her child and have meaningful interactions with her child at the workplace while still being able to give you 100% at the job.
So, 3 months is what mothers here get.
Yes.
You have 3 months and then you have to go back to work.
Yes.
A child at 3 months is not able to detach. See, a mother can argue, that's me, it's fine. I'll put on my suit, I'll go to work.
Yeah.
But of course, it's hard for both of them.
Yes,
the child is not able to detach. The mother is not able to detach. But as you said, you've got to go to work.
You've got to do it, yeah.
At 3 months, I mean, what kind of support does a mother need? Because even if they bring the child to the cradle, and you've said it's not about just bathing my child and putting them to sleep. What kind of support in the experience of the course of the cradle does a mother need around that time? She's just getting into the workspace. What kind of support does a mother need?
First of all, like you said, it's very hard on both.
Yeah.
Maybe extremely hard on the mother, because we've gone through experiences where a mother has to say bye to their child at 3 months old at the cradle, and it's a very difficult
for the mother.
No, it's very difficult for mothers. They literally cry, and I get that. We get that, and that's why for us we're very big on being able to update a mother. 30 minutes,
is that
1
true?
hour.
Is that true about mothers wanting to know every 10 minutes?
Yes, and it's okay, because that's the only way they'll feel at peace. Right. That's the only way they'll be able to give 100% at their workplace. So if we can update a mother about how much milk their child has taken, which a house girl is not going to do for me. If you ask, usually you call and say, oh madam, you did,
yes.
Well, like, what does that mean? How many mLs is that? So for you to be in a place where, in an environment where someone can say, oh, he's taken, this much milk. Oh yeah, he's very, very fussy about this. But also importantly, someone who can advise you on the milestones to expect, the milestones that your child is actually making at that time. Sometimes mothers, we don't know. And we don't know that now.
First-time mothers as well.
Especially. We don't know what milestones we're looking out for. So for us to tell you that actually for your child to respond to us in 2 weeks with a smile is a good thing. Or for us to tell you, oh, hi, you dropped in your child for emergency. You needed to go, I don't know, to do an exam. But your child is 2 weeks and is not smiling back. then we might have a problem. Let's check for it for next week, and 2 weeks after that, we need to take this child to hospital.
Okay.
So to have to be in an environment where someone is able to communicate some of these things to you before
Details.
detail, knowing fully well what we are expecting, what we've seen, what is normal, then it's also a good thing for you as a mother to feel rested, knowing that the person who's with my child actually understands the semantics of child development for my child.
Okay, so if you are just tuned in, the Cradle Uganda is Manuela's organization, company, not even sure what to term it. So if you are thinking of being a parent, or you're already a parent, and you said 0 to 4 years.
0 to 4 years.
So you're first of all going to work, it's not even at 4 years, 3 months. Yeah. And you're thinking, how am I going to do this? Have to rush from work, head here. And you're thinking, if I, as she said, you're going to leave the child with the maid, and you call, and then the maid is going to say, no, madam, she's fine, she drank well, she's sleeping. You know, but you can hear the baby crying.
It's a very hard,
so sometimes maybe that relationship can't work. And do you know why it can't work? Because the maid or whoever you have as supportive, that's not their skill. That's not their forte. So they really have no idea what to communicate to you. So it's important, and I've had that's the biggest advantage you have, that when you're communicating to the mother, you know what to communicate.
Yes.
So you easily put the mother's mind at ease.
Yes.
Knowing that, okay, I didn't even know that, but it's important that they told me.
Yes.
So which begs the question, where's the experience from? Because you said banking. So, so I'm thinking, a banker?
How did you get to,
Yes.
I mean, it's a very good question. And it's one of the reasons I applied for the Mandela Washington Fellowship. Because I knew I had no experience in terms of, and you know how we get, what experience do you have as, what have you studied? What have you, I understand those things. And so for me, it was very big for me to go through actually learning on the job through experience. And that's when I learned about early childhood brain stimulation. Because then I realized that everything that we're doing for our children is lacking in terms of early childhood brain stimulation.
I told you that you start teaching a child at 5 onwards.
Which is very sad, and I'm very excited to talk about how we can change that for our children here and right now. So yes, for me, the biggest where I come from a place as a mother, as a concerned mother, and also having been selected for the Mandela Washington Fellowship, where I learned everything that I know right now. Yes.
Okay. So,
but then the good thing is, yes, exactly. All the staff are trained from Uganda Christian University in early childhood development. Those are the head carers. The carers can come from YMCA, YWCA, as long as they've done early childhood development. Yes. So a diploma, a degree. People don't even know that those ones are there. Those
you're like, what?
Those are actual roles. And hopefully in the future, we shall be able to recruit all of these people that are studying into what we're going to create, a mobile app. So, kind of Uber for nannies. So you can actually get a nanny around, not even a nanny, a child carer who can come in and work with you and your child on stimulating their brain and taking care of them while they're at home.
So we've thrown that around, and you can see the lower third thing, child brain stimulation. When do we start? What does that even mean? Are you Musa to the child? Are you saying certain heavy words? Discombobulated. To the child.
It's really a combo of everything that you've said. But in layman's language, what early childhood brain stimulation is getting your child to think critically.
Okay.
And how that happens is, first of all, you've got to come from a place of understanding why and how this happens. Okay. So a child is born with, free-floating neurons in their minds and in their brains. And that's actually while they're still in the tummy. So they're free-floating, and they're making not many connections, okay? But then later, they start to make connections using their 5 senses. Now that's the catch. So when a child, say for example, you're changing their diaper, and you tell them, do you feel and you're using the wipe, and you say, do you feel that it's cold? Okay, so you're saying the word cold, and then they're feeling the cold.
Right,
okay?
Right.
And then you're explaining that you're putting the wipe through their bottom to clean them up. But the wipe is cold. And then when you place their cloth over them, you tell them, I'm putting this over you because it's cold.
Okay.
So they're looking, they've heard the word cold. They've felt cold. They've seen you do that as you speak to them, because you're speaking to them.
Yes.
Yes, I feel cold. So I'm going to put a
cloth,
an overall over you, so that you can feel warm, because now you're cold. So now they're hearing the word cold a lot. They've made a connection with how they feel and what they've seen, to the point that now if you get a book for your newborn child and you read about, let's say, temperatures, and then you're reading about the cold, then they can see the word cold. They've seen the word cold, they've seen you make a reaction, they've seen how they felt when they're cold, so they've made a strong connection. Now, this is not just with the word cold. It goes with warm, it goes with poop, it goes with read, you see mama, to the point that as they grow older, you start to use bigger words. By the time they're 1.5 years old,
so
they're actually using the words. This is newborn.
Hey, sorry, I thought you were talking about 3 hours.
No. This is at newborn. So you're starting to introduce words early. So what's happening now in our culture? Change the diaper. No,
you're on the phone.
Thank you very much. Now I'm changing. Now those are the words they're hearing them say. But here's the thing: we're not making any connection to those words. But if we're intentional about the words that we're using, then our children start to use, to the point that now we've started to use baby sign language. Because then a child can tell you, I want more, I want milk. Because they've heard you say the word milk, then they've given them milk. When we are breastfeeding, we don't look at our children, we don't talk to them, we don't tell them what's happening. We don't say this is milk, which is warm, and then put them in a bathtub of warm water, and then put a sweater over them so they will feel warm. And at this point, you find that the child is telling the difference between warm and cold. By the time they are 1.5 years old, they can tell you, Mommy, I'm warm, Mommy, I'm cold. But what's happening is, at 1.5 years, we're not expecting our children to talk. Nope. Actually, when we hear them using a few words, we say, my child, wow, I know, and yet, the truth is, they have the capacity for a higher vocabulary at the age of 1.5 years old.
They can do better.
I met a child who would tell me an orangutan, 1.5. I'm like, really, why? This is not a genius child. So here I am in the States, shocked every time I see a child. Hey, oh, wow, and then everybody else is looking at me like, this is normal. This is normal. And so this should be something that we can do for our children, even now. And it's amazing that in just 2 weeks, you as a parent can see a significant difference. And what happens with stimulation is it can happen at any time. So if we're going to a doctor, we're going to a hospital, and this is my #1 example. You go to a hospital and no one is talking to a child. No one is explaining to a child what is going to happen. They don't know who they are going to see. They are not even aware they are in a hospital. They don't know that the reason as to why they've gone to see a doctor is because they are going to make them feel better. A child can't even explain why they are unwell. The parent is the one who has to explain. So you find that in a hospital, parents are on the phone. The children have been given a place to play, to color, and the parents are on the phone. Then we are wondering why the child is screaming. Well, immediately they enter the doctor's room. Immediately they enter the pediatrician's room.
You used to just say
you have to say the pediatrician.
Doctors are different.
Doctors are different. I remember once we went to hospital, and my child had cut herself through her hand. And I talked to her, I said, you see, a surgeon is going to put your hand together and stitch it with stitches. She's 2 years old. So we get into the room, and then the ped comes in, and then she asks him, are you a pediatrician or a surgeon? Boom. And then the pediatrician goes like, how? I said, no, please don't look shocked. This is how it's supposed to be. Don't make me think that, I've arrived. No, because I've not arrived. Where I've come from, I have seen the potential of children. And so it's you have to be very mindful as a parent and as a mother, who your child is with in the first 1,000 days of their lives, because that shows, or that will impact the kind of stimulation they get. It rains, all the children get out of the outside, come back into the house. And yet that's an opportunity for you to teach the child about rain formation, how that,
so they don't say chumuluminimbas.
No. But they're able to actually educate a child at that point and help them, because now they're interested. So you have to be very big on how you see what your child is interested in. So if they're interested in that pot, which you can see is going to fall and break, the first thing we are going to do is pick up the pot and run away with the pot. Say, no, don't touch. No, they are interested in that pot. So now is a good time to teach them about shapes and color, and that it's glass, and then you show them a plastic and they can tell a difference. If you have a certain glass that can break, show them it can break. Now you're starting to make connections. Another time they see something break, they're going to see, oh, mommy, that glass broke. They're 1.5, everyone's going to say, oh, wana mugezi. No, it's just because of the way you have spoken with them.
I hear you. I feel it's like good and bad. I'm very excited that you came here to say this, but I also feel like you need to come back another day to highlight how you can help the mother. Because what you've said is the child, but sometimes, Manuela, we're raised where maybe my background, nobody ever spoke to me that way. And so how am I going to help my child? Not that I don't want to. I want to. The reason I've come to the Cradle Uganda is because I would like, but then I assume, but Manuela, we call it.
Yes.
And then I go to work. Whereas, to be honest, we're both necessary in this.
I like that you've said that.
You understand?
Because there's an actual technique, and I'll just do that very quickly. There's an actual technique that uses a talk strategy, which is an acronym. T stands for tune in. The first way to tune in is to get the way tuning in is getting into your child's world. And the first way to do it is to get to their level until they're at a place where they can look at you straight in the eye. So make sure they're looking at you, then comment about what your child is doing. If they're touching a glass, tell them, I see you touching a glass. You're looking them straight in the eye and saying, and not, wow, don't touch the glass. No, I see you touching the glass. And then wait for your child to respond to what you've said. So look at what they're doing, comment about what they're doing, and then allow them to respond. Then A is ask questions. So at that point where you ask questions, depending on whether your child is an infant or a toddler, you're either asking an open-ended question or a closed-ended question. So at 1.5-year-old, you should be asking an open-ended. Why are you touching the glass? Or what do you think we use this for? That's a closed-ended, open-ended. Closed-ended is that, can that break? Yes or no? So you ask a question based on what they are doing. Then L is lift language. So if they were touching the glass, so you said, oh, you were touching the glass, then you use a different word that can mean touching. Or so I'm looking for the word right now, but I can't think. So you use a different word for touching to improve their language. And at that point where you're lifting language, you need to model language that you want your child to use. So don't say, you touch glass. No. Say the words.
As they should say it.
As they should say it the way you would like them to say it. Don't miss words. Don't miss little, use properly formed sentences. So model the language you want them to use. And then K, keep it going. So tune in again, ask questions, lift language. Tune in again, ask questions, lift language. And like I said, you stimulate through their lives. So there's a way to stimulate while you read with them, while you play with them, while you discipline them. There's a way to actually get them to start thinking. So that asking questions is a very important component to thinking critically. So as long as you ask them correctly, then they start to think. Then they start to solve problems in a different way from Zijeyo glass. No, you're now asking them, don't you think that glass would break? Yes. So where should we put it so it doesn't break? Then your child starts to think.
I'm telling, even correcting them, I guess, because I've heard when a child makes a mistake in how they've pronounced something or how they've phrased something, and the parent just moves on. I'm like, Should you not tell them? Because they don't know.
Yeah, no, they don't. They don't. And yet you have the potential to help them.
Exactly.
So immediately they use a sentence, help correct them,
yes.
then lift their language, always lift their language.
Yeah.
So come from doctor.
Don't use the same
You
words.
don't use the same boring words. You've got to be
I made that
exciting.
comment and I said my dad used to ask you how your day was. And then, until you use the same words you used
yesterday.
Hey. So you sat the whole day and that's it. I'm happy. What else? I was excited. What? Excited is another level of happy. So what got you to that level of happy?
I'll make you laugh. I was in a car with a child from Uganda, an orphan that's now in the States, and his dad spoke to him and said to him, "Hey buddy, what are you thinking about?" That's a question we never ask our children.
For what?
So for what? What will they say? What do they know? What do they think? Yeah?
Yeah.
And so he asked him, "Hey buddy, what are you thinking about?" And then the boy goes like, "Cars." So I'm thinking, if I'd ever asked my son and he said cars, I'd probably stop at that. But here's another component of stimulation you need to build.
Yeah.
So he goes like, "Oh yeah, what about cars?" So he goes, the smoke that comes out the back of the car.
Yeah.
Are you hearing the accent? Anyway, the smoke that comes out the back of the car.
No, don't tell your child to have an accent.
and then the dad goes like, "That's not smoke, that's gas." And so he explains to him
It's
that
another
it's carbon
chance for you
monoxide.
to teach
Exactly,
your
because
child.
they're interested. They're interested at that point.
Yeah.
Flavia, by the time we got home, we talked about combustion.
Imagine.
Because the dad asked him, "Where do you think the gas comes from?" And then the boy said, "I don't know." Critical thinking. The dad goes, "Think about it. Where do you think smoke comes from?" And then the boy goes like, "Something's burning." And then the dad goes, "Yes, gas," and that's called combustion. By the time we got home, Flavia, we talked about the temperature of the sun, the ozone layer, everything around. What was the boy thinking? Cars.
Fantastic. By the way, we have our man on the ground, Andrew Chamagero, who is in Makindye and has a brief for us. But before we get there, you are going to come back.
Yes, I am.
Please. You're going to come back for the parents.
Yes, I will. Definitely.
You can't forget the children, but you need to come back for the parents.
Yes.
And perhaps teach our parents, and not just the parents, Manuela. I want you to teach even the support system around the parents who deal with the children.
Actually, now we will be doing one training with KCCA for all KCCA schools. So we can come to your school, we can teach your parents, we can teach our school teachers.
I'm happy about this conversation. Let's check in with Andrew Chamagero. Andrew,